Sure, so we can start.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
I believe that we had nice rests. We're prepared for today. Yesterday, we started our session. We went through some interesting parts. I believe that we were able to spend some time to evaluate what we studied, so that at least we would know that our time was worth it. So we are on day 2. And so if you have any question that's maybe when there was something that came to your mind that you wanted to ask, you can ask. But those of us who can present, can just take about 2 of us who did the assignments. Tell us what you got, and then let's see if there in the part that you feel you need some support, and let's see how we can do that. We can help you. So at this point, there are 2 things that we can do. If you have any questions that you to ask, let's see if the cohort could help. And then we would also ask for 2 volunteers. If you could tell us how your assignment went. We have 3 questions to answer. Any volunteer? Because this is an entrepreneurship session, I usually think that we should let's come out with our situation. That's the best way you can get the session to be behind you. So if you had time to maybe take any of the month of the previous year to calculate your profitability metrics, we had to do just 3 of them: your gross profits, your operating profits, and then your net. Any volunteer? Orangia, were you able to do it?
Hello. Good morning, Henry. Please hope you're fine. Please, mine was so much, so I decided to actually limit myself to a small portion of it. So please give me like some few minutes. I'll just finish up and then.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Welcome. Stephanie, today is it you or is your mom? Stephanie. Okay. Kelvin, are you able to do something?
Hello?
Yes.
It's me. My mom will join later.
Okay, Stephanie. Were you able to work out your profitability metrics to see your gross profits, your operating profits, and then your net profit?
My mom has done the working, so when she comes, she will.
Okay. So it's good that we try our hands on some of these things. It tells us a lot. So that's why I mentioned in the assignment that you can just take 1 month, just 1 month. You know, sometimes some of these things, you can even calculate them on monthly basis. So for instance, calculating for October, November, December, it helps you to understand the trend, And then also, if you're able to do those things on monthly basis for, say, 2 or 3 years, you can identify a certain pattern. It will guide you to know whether you are running a seasonal business. It will help you to know when sales shoot up and sales doesn't. It gives you command over your own business. That's one of the good thing about these metrics. When you're able to do them in short intervals and then you compare them, because for instance, if you were able to do month by month for 3 years, you were able to tell whether in July the season are the same. If the metrics begin to change in all the 3, you may have to check, because then there's something wrong, right? But some of these things, once you're able to do them month by month, it helps you to understand your own organization and even the industry. Most of us, we enter into the industry with passion, and sometimes we're not able to understand what exactly drives the industry, or that drives the ecosystem that we are operating in. And before we know, we get frustrated and then we leave, we exit. But some of these metrics just help us. It helps us to know whether indeed we understand the industry that we are operating in. And the reason why it's also helpful is that not many of us have the money to be able to do research before we start out. So if you don't have the money to do the research, then some of these metrics as you go on guides you to understand how the seasons are, how are my sales or my gross sales, how my gross sales are for January, for February, for March. Then when I'm talking to somebody, I can tell you that, well, in this business, maybe October is a good season if you want to invest. If I want to speak to investors, I could even describe for them the drive of the ecosystem. I could tell them at which point we get the match sales, the match yield, at which point it is not right, at which point maybe you may have a lot of gross profits. But then before you do all the operating things, you almost run at a loss. In some seasons, because maybe you have some form of maybe operating costs are fixed costs, you will realize that at some time you are spreading the cost over a period of time. And so you will notice that when your gross profit is more, you have more operating profits, right? But in some instances, you have a lot of gross profit, but then before you get to your net or your operating profit, everything is eaten up. And that is where you will need to understand what's caused it. So please, let's try our hands on these things. It helps us. And again, like I mentioned yesterday, it will help us to play on the same field as people who are competing with us and have the advantage, right? Some of them, they have network, or maybe they have the resources. We should be able to engage ourselves in all of these things so we can drive. So since nobody has a question and nobody's ready yet for the presentation, I guess I would want to continue. I would have wished that somebody, at least we get 2 or 3 people to tell us or present to us their assignments, so that we know that what went on yesterday, at least it brought you some leverage. But let's move on. As we go, if you have anything, you can just put in the chat and then we can pick it from there so we can make progress. All right. So today, we are getting to the last but one part. Yesterday we dealt with financial fluency and accounting equation. we dealt a little bit of the, we didn't do much of recording transactions, but we did. The accounting equation helped us to do some form of, to understand some of the recordings that we need to do. Because of time, we couldn't do that. But today we're going to go into pricing. I mentioned that we have two models in pricing. We have pricing 1 and pricing 2. So we are at the second stage. But just to set the ball rolling, I have a question. I have 2 questions actually that I want you to think about. If anybody wants to answer, give you an answer, that's fine. But I just want you to think about these questions. The first is, how do you set prices for your products or service? How do you set prices for products or service? And the second is, how do you know if these means or this strategy that you use, the way that you set your prices, is the best way? And how do you know that the prices that you set are the best prices? Anybody want to volunteer to talk? All of us are doing business, or we are doing some social problem. Can we tell what's inform our pricing decision? Anyone? Hello, are you with me?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Henry.
Yes.
Please, I would like to take you back to the assignment if that's allowed. Then I'll come back to this.
Yes, I would love to hear that.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, with the definitions for gross profit, operating profit, and then the net profit, I gathered that the gross profit measures the difference between the sales and the costs. It's more like selling price minus the cost price of the product. So I picked one of my products that I had a good sale the other time, and then I was trying to see how I could measure those profits. So the cost price for one is 43 cedis, and I sold it at 64 cedis. I sold it at 64 cedis. The quantities I sold were 36.
Okay.
So when I did the multiplication for the cost price, I had 43 times 36, giving me 1,548.
Okay.
And then calculating the selling price, I got 64 times 36, which gave me 2,304.
Okay.
Calculating the gross profits, I had the 2,304 minus the 1,548, giving me 756 as my gross profit.
Okay.
Again, going back to the definition, net profits. But I didn't actually understand the operating profit. It says measures the operating income to your revenue. So means all the money you have gathered from sales.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So you finish and let's see.
So I jumped the operating profit and then came to net profit, which says it measures the actual profits you are making per sales. So I subtracted the 43 cedis, which is the cost price, from the selling price, which is 64, which gives me 21 cedi on each item. So it means that on each item I get 21 cedis.
Okay. So 21 cedis. All right. So, but that is, you just mentioned that the 21 cedis that you got was the gross profit.
The gross profit was 756.
Okay, so let's take it per unit. Let's take it per unit.
Per unit.
So when
Okay.
I see the per unit as I see it, the gross profit was 21 cedis, right? And
Yes, please.
that means that um all right, yes, it's 21 cedis. So what then is your net profit? Because what I hear
Okay.
is that you almost got the same thing. Does it mean that you don't incur any additional costs
Hmm. So
aside aside
T.
the cost of production?
Okay. So TNT is actually covered by customers.
It's kind of like what? Customers.
Yes, it's covered by customers.
Okay. So that's not your cost. Okay. So what it means is that apart from your cost of production, there is no other cost that you incur again.
No.
Well, that's interesting. That's
Hmm.
basically will also mean that then your gross profit will be the same as your operating profit and the
As the
same as your profit.
Oh,
But
okay.
let's ask a few questions. Do you do
Okay.
any sales and marketing?
Um, it's just the normal given to making what's it, social
Social
sales,
media,
social handle, yeah, media handle sales.
because you don't pay anything.
I don't actually attribute it to I should, right?
You pay something, but you don't attribute it to the cost of the product.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is
Okay.
one thing that should tell you that you may be using your own money to finance the business without really knowing. So you may not
Okay.
have the actual expenditure of each product. So let me
Hmm.
break it down. Can anybody help her? So she says she's confused about the operating profits, the difference between the operating profit and the gross profit. Anybody can help her? Can anybody help? Hey, example more hard here. Hey, virtual training. This is one of the challenge of virtual training. You're not so sure who is with you and who is not with you. I've said that we are entrepreneurs, so we must make sure that our time gives us some value. Okay, Lorisha, let's make it easy. So first of all, when you are calculating your gross profit, the only thing that you take out of your sale is the costs associated with the production. So let's say that you are a seamstress, you make clothes, okay? The cost of producing one cloth is maybe the material that you bought, the raw material that you put in those things. It does not include the personnel cost. It does not include the phone call that you made to be able to sell. It does not include rent or even the machine, the depreciation that you may even charge for the machine. It does not include any of them. The only thing that goes into your gross is the cost of the production. So it is direct to it. So we say that it measures the difference between the sales and the cost of the goods or the service that you sold. Please, does that help? Oresha?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, when we come to the operating, then you would expand it further. So once you get to the operating, now you are going to look at what really are the things that you do, the operating things that you do. You know, some of the things that, so for instance, rent is part of operating costs, right? If you paid anybody any form of wages for producing that particular cloth, that is a cost. That's an operating cost. So now you're going to take that one also from it. If you had any administrative expenses, maybe you went to buy some credit, or maybe you needed to get water, or anything that is part of the business's operation for that particular that you can apportion some to the production of of your goods, is now part of the operation costs. So what is helping your operation? What is sustaining your operation that you can apportion? Because for instance, maybe you paid electricity, right? You can, that electricity is helping you to run your business. So that's an operating cost. You will not include electricity in your gross. But when you get to the operating, you will include it. So usually, by the time you get to the operating, the money, your profit margin would have reduced. Now you get, after that, there are other costs that you may even be incurring again. So for instance, you may have to be paying some taxes, right? Maybe you pay some taxes, or you wanted to, some depreciation for the machines that you are using. You can also take those aspects. Maybe you are part of an association that you pay fee because of the business that you are running, right? Or again, maybe you were invited for a workshop like this and you paid some money, right? That's all cost. That's all cost that went into your business. So then you take those extra costs from it. So basically, those things will begin to reduce your profit margin. Are the steps clear, Lorenzo?
Yes, please.
So I guess that
Thank you.
You will realize that maybe the margin, maybe you are actually getting a lower margin. It could be that your margin could be just $10, 10 cedis per product, or maybe 5 cedis per product, because I don't know, maybe you get extra income from somewhere. So some of the things. So you call this customer to tell the customer that I'm bringing the thing. He said, okay, I get to this place. Now you know that even though the phone is yours, at that time you're using the phone for business. So you should be able to apportion.
Okay.
As if you didn't have a phone, you are going to any vendor to make a call, and that is cost. In Ghana, because of the way our tax regime is, it makes it difficult for people to be able to apportion some of these things. But here in the state, it is very easy for me. I work from home. The rent that I pay in my house, I would have to, the space that I occupy, that I put my desk there and work, I will have to apportion that part to the business and take that expenditure from the business, so that I know that the business, and so I have to take the receipt that I pay out of it. If I drove my car to a place, the cost of driving the car, I should be able to take that. Those things are things that if you don't take out of your business, you don't have the real bottom line of your business. And that's what we do. So if we don't have money by ourselves, then it looks like the business is suffering, because we have not actually allocated the proper cost to the product or to the business. We are taking and absorbing some of these things without allocating the proper cost to the business. So I would honestly like to work with you and to get deep down to see some of the things that you do. We will go into some of the things that you do to support the business that you don't think that there are costs that you must take from the business.
Okay, thank you very much.
It will be helpful so that at least you know that the actual bottom line that you are making. All right. So let's go to the question today. If anybody has a response, how do you set your prices? And how do you know that the prices that you have set are the best prices? Anybody? Don't get anybody to tell us how you set the prices in your business. Any volunteer?
All right. This is right.
Yes,
So
Ike.
before we set the price, the first thing we look at is the cost.
Ike, your voice is so far.
Please, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I need to strain. Please go ahead.
Okay. Before we start to look at the price, the first thing we look at is the cost. Our cost of production.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so cost.
Yes, the cost and then we look at the cost of production, and we also look at our cost of goods sold.
So cost of production.
Yes. Then we also look at the cost of goods sold. We look at
when you say cost of production, what are you talking about? What exactly are you talking about?
Yeah, so that what we need to produce whatever product that how much would it cost us to produce the product? Then when we look at the cost of goods sold, they are looking at after the product is ready, how much would we need to go and sell the product? How much is involved in selling the product? So these are the key things we have to look at.
Okay, I hold on. I want us to use an actual system here, so we don't use a. What do you do?
Also for us, we have an app and we do sign language translation.
Okay, so how do you price? Let's walk us through the actual of your pricing. I mean, what's the content of the pricings are?
So what goes into it? One is the transportation cost of what do you call it, the sign translator. So when you book the service of a sign translator, we look at the distance that will involve.
Okay.
Where the sign translator is to the location to go and do the sign translation. That's one. Then two, we also consider how many hours the sign language translator is going to spend for a particular program. Is it going to be a full day, half day, an hour, or 30 minutes? So we have a basic rate. If it is between 30 minutes to 1 hour, then it means that it is purely 2.5, 253.
Okay.
Yes, that is it. Yes, it's 2.5, 253, 300. That is it. Yes, and that one thing is being determined by the distance, the availability of the sensor and or the proximity. Yes. Then if it is more than that, once it's more than that, it means that we will involve an extra sign language translator. One person cannot do the job.
Okay.
So the hours is important, the proximity is important, and then the number of days that you are also going to. If you are going to take us for, let's say, a week, then it means we have to give you a extra. Then finally, is the program an international program or a local program? If it is international program, you know how we are charging. If it's a local program, you know how much we are charging. So these are what goes into hours. Hours is actually a service, and so this is what actually goes into the price.
All right, Ike, stay with me. Stay with me. And you see, one of the most difficult industry to be within is service, because it looks like your prices will, if you don't take care, it will be based on relationship, and sometimes people feel like, oh, by you, this thing that you just came to do, you are charging me this. So my question.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Well, you have an experience.
Yeah. People, okay. So prior to actually establishing ourselves as a business, if you go and then sign, they find it difficult to easily pay you because they think like, oh, you just came to do this, you just came to do this, so you wait, that kind of thing, and you even after you have concluded on how much you are paying, you are taking from the for the service, you realize that when you are done with the service and they'll be like, oh, can you still reduce it? That was before we actually, yes, established a system. But now, what happens is that we have a system where you need to do an upfront payment and before the
Hello, Henry.
Okay. Okay.
Hello.
All right. So yes, so I don't know. It looks like your sound is a little bit far, so I'm sure people are struggling to hear you. But what I just
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Much better, very much improved.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
So this is what I was just going to ask you. Do you agree that from the perspective that you just described to us, that your pricing is purely based on your company? It has basically nothing to do with the clients?
Hello, Henry. You said it has basically nothing to do with what? If you can come again.
With the clients.
Yeah. Okay. So you say it's solely on our business.
Yes, you're looking at so you are charging the person from your perspective. So you're looking at your transportation, how many hours you are going to spend. You're looking at the people you're going to use, right? These are your input. So the person that you're going to sell the thing to, at that point, you're not even considering the person at all.
I made mention that is it a local client or an international client?
But how does that change? I mean, like if I how would you say that if I am international client, you charge me more than the local client?
Yes. So for us, okay, we have the association for sign language translators, and we consider when we are charging the local what do you call it, client, it's a little it's lesser than an international organization. And the same way, if it is a deaf person, because we are working for persons with disabilities, if it's a deaf person that has requested for the service of sign translator, we may not even charge him or her at all, just that they take care of the transportation cost. So we consider the client.
Okay. So when you do that, how do you pay the people who went there?
Okay, so most of the interpreters are also concentrating on impact. I think yesterday I spoke about we are more of an impact-based, organization than profit. And so when we have funding come through, then it means that we allocate some of the fund to take care of this. Yes, and so when we have an impact investor who also looks at what we are doing and would like to support, then it means that we have a fund available to take care of situations like this where it is a deaf person that needs the service of the sign translator.
Okay, so I see that you have a hybrid business. You have an element for profit and an element of
Exactly.
because if assuming you are doing a purely non-profit, it doesn't matter whether the person has money or doesn't have money. That doesn't matter whether it's a local or an international person. That doesn't matter the distance. If people are donating to you and saying that we are giving you this money for you to render this to people, then it doesn't matter where it may have to maybe be a certain criteria that you set, but then the location of the people may not necessarily come in if it's included in your robot. So we will deal with that. Let's see if anybody else can tell us how you set your prices. Let's see those who are doing for profit. How do you set your prices? And how do you know that the price that you are setting is best?
Okay. Hello.
Yes, right.
Hi, Henry. Please, with certain of the prices, what we consider as we are into production of um what's it? Black soap. I was going to say Alata Samana. I just want so Alata Samana. We make the gel and then the caked ones. So when we are pricing, we look at the cost involved in acquiring our raw materials. So we cost every raw material, the oil, the um, potash, and then we also cost labor. Then
Labor.
when yes, labor. So as in salary, we factor in salaries of people that are in the work.
I'm trying to write your cost element. So now I know that you have
All
raw,
right.
yeah, you have labor, and your labor crowd here is so serious that you're talking about salary. Okay. What else?
Okay.
What else do you include in this cost? In this
So that's with the setting the prices.
Okay. So let me ask you, do you
Okay.
use how do you produce do you have any machine that you use in your production?
Yes, there are machines that are used. So this is
So,
how we do it.
so
We
how do
source
you
raw material. We source raw material from a community, and then we give to an engineering service. They are actually into the production of the soap for us. So we give them what we need in those formulations, and then they do it for us.
Okay. So what it means is that
Okay.
even the production, you outsource the entire production.
We are outsource, yes, the production, but getting the raw materials and then other people to work on the potash and other things is by us.
So Lauricia, let's say
Yes.
that let's say you had 100 grams of raw material
Okay.
on 1 month, and then another month you had 200 grams of raw material. Will you
Okay.
pay your staff differently?
Hmm.
Will you pay them based on the work they do, or that? That's how I said that. As for your salary, your cost per day is salary. So
Mm.
not like what we pay
So
here. Once the person, for someone to sue you, whether the person worked properly or not, you're
or
supposed to.
not, yeah. So what we do is that we want to make sure that we are producing enough to be able to sustain the business and sustain the workers as well. So we do this to be able to churn out more products so that we'll be able to cover these costs for us.
Okay. Let's see.
Ah,
Let's see how this session will. Let's take one more person. I see that
okay.
Stephanie.
And then the
Hi,
last one.
Stephanie's mom. Good morning.
Good morning. I'll study you all around. Okay. Yes, Laurisha, go ahead. Let's finish with yours and then we can take this.
Okay. The last one, with regards to
Mm.
knowing if it's the best price, is that sometimes we compare with the other products, how much other products are selling and how much the customer is willing to pay. And when we gather that, we then look at um, how much more we can gain over the operating costs and see if it is okay for us. If we can still be in business after
Laurisha,
that.
how do you know how much the customer is willing to pay?
So most often, what we do is we produce in large quantities and then we give it to the shops, retailer shops. So if they can say, oh, this quantity, maybe 500 grams of Alata Semina is being given to us by this other company at say 25 cities, and you are saying you are going to give it to us as 28 cities. Can you beat down to maybe match it to 25 cities? So we look at um, all the costs that have been involved, and if we see that the money that we get as profit on that money will be above, just a little above or more than what was put in, then we go with it.
All right. So,
Okay.
I just want to just to give you a hypothetical situation.
Okay.
There were how do you call porridge sellers, right? Vendors,
Yes.
communities. They sell those in the rubber 1 city or things like that. Cocoa King, they were selling them. The same people, right? So sometimes thinking that you are looking at what other people are selling may not actually be what the market is. Okay, let's take one more person and then proceed. It's good. I want us to have this interaction so that we know where we are, and then it becomes more practical when we are discussing the issues. All right. Stephanie's mom. Yesterday I didn't get a name. Did you want to share with us how you do your pricing?
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
I'm Constance.
Okay.
Constance.
Okay, Constance, please. You want to share with us how do you price your you who are into sewing? How do you price your clothes, and how do you know that it is the best price?
Yeah, okay, thank you. So our prices are not set in an arbitrary manner. For starters, ours is a high-end. Our products are quite high-end, and we do it from scratch. So we don't look at, we take all things into account, and then we price it at a percentage. We want
So what goes into the price?
make it in such a way that the percentage profit that we put on it will take care of our expenses. And also, please, are you hearing me?
Yes, I was asking what goes into the price. What are the elements that goes into the pricing?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Can you?
Yeah.
Can you?
And so for us, it's a percentage, and
Percentage
that
on what?
percentage at which we peg our prices. Come again.
Percentage
I'm
on what?
saying that for us, our prices are not done arbitrary. We don't merely look at percentage on the profit that we make. So we haven't taken into account our operating costs and all other costs. Then we have to mark it up to a certain percentage. That percentage should be able to pay salaries and utilities and all the other costs, and then have some that we can save or invest.
Okay.
Yeah, we do this so that we don't always have to revise prices just because the dollar went up or something happened. And then we also look at, like I said, ours is a high end. They are high end products. So we do not just look at what other people have done. Our products stand in a place of their own. It's only recently we have decided to market to other nations that we're facing some challenges. So, like the quality of our products, whether we should maintain it or we should decrease it, is still on the table. But we are deciding that we're going to maintain that price. We're still going to market to other nations, and our product quality and efficacy will speak for itself. So we know it is best because people keep coming back to buy, and it gives them results. We are very result oriented, and so our products deliver, and that keeps customers coming back. So we know it's good, and we also compare with other brands that are also sought after. And
Okay. So
we
let's make this simple. You know, the problem I'm having is that your English is big, eh? So I'm trying to break your English down into math, and that is why I was asking you what exactly goes in. So from what you are telling me, I can understand that the pricing starts from your raw material. Is that correct? Okay, let's move on and see how today will look like.
Okay, I think Henry, this is Naomi from Hyperspace.
Yes.
I think there is a comment in the chat box as well. So maybe there are some that their internet is very bad. So maybe once in a while you can check there as well. Thank you.
So Kaya app says that we check what our competitors are charging and doing and set our prices to be competitive. So my question would then be that what if what your competitors are charging is below your production costs? Let's say you are competing with some people who are producing in large quantity than you are able to. And so they have the luxury to charge below. How would you compete with them? That would just be my question. But let's see if some of the things that we are going to talk about can answer what our queries are. So today what we want to do is to understand what we call customers' willingness to pay. Somebody mentioned that and how that is important for your business. We also understand what we mean by suppliers' willingness to sell and how that affects your business as well. We'll look at your ability to assess the markets of your business. And then we also try to understand the various pricing mechanisms that you can use in your business. We also try to see how we can use pricing to differentiate our product or services from other competitors. And then we see how we can innovate our business to create a monopoly, even in a red ocean industry, a place where there's a lot of competition. All right. So first of all, demand and supply affects your finances. So it's very important that we understand it. How much the customers want and how much you are able to give them. It affects how much you earn. If you produce a lot and then the demand is not there, it will be challenging for you to make money or for you to sell. And if your customers want more and you can't produce to them, it creates another scenario. So let's bear that first point in mind. But like I said, it's sad that most of us in our industry, we don't have enough data to understand how our market operates. And that is why I mentioned that sometimes we can create our own data space. So for instance, the metric that we used yesterday can help you understand a little bit of your market. It gives you a little bit some form of trend. So if you're able to calculate your per month basis, let's say your gross profit margin for say 4 years, 3 years, you can be able to identify a certain pattern on some seasons. And if it is not the same, it can give you an understanding of how the market looks like. If your attrition rate, you calculate it on month by month basis for say 3 years, and you identify that in certain months, it looks like you lose more customers. It helps you to be able to dig in to understand what's happening on the market. And that is how we can be able to search some of these things. That is why I keep on saying that some of these metrics also help us to be able to understand the market. Because sometimes we want to know, we don't have the money to do the research before we start our businesses. And so we use some of these metrics to try and guide us to do them. And again, we are in a certain age where there is a lot of, and also what oh, I was muted. Okay. So for instance, Laurentia tells us that she does black soap, but you know that there are other people who are even doing black soap who are not Ghanaians. When you come to this country, there are some of these Latinos who are producing, they are not of the same quality though, but they are still producing them. So you are still competing with other people. And the sad reality is that people will travel, they will even import the ones that are not even quality. And may even come and destroy the one that you are producing if you don't create a niche for yourself. So it's very important that we understand how the global market trend also is. So we keep on saying that the customer is the king. And that's why I asked Ike how the customer is factored in your pricing. In your pricing mechanism, how do you factor in the customer? Because the customer is the one that's paying the money. No matter how quality your product is, if the customer rejects it, you still don't have a business. So there should be a way that you can factor in the customer. And there should be a way that in factoring in that customer, you can influence the pattern and the desire or the willingness to pay of that customer. So let me give you an example. Let's say we have two phones, two gadgets. Let's say we have Samsung, we have Apple. I'm sure majority of us in this day, if somebody give you an Apple phone, your excitement, unless you have a different form of experience, your excitement will be higher than as to compare to if somebody gives you an Android phone, right? Now, sometimes you ask yourself, what really are the features of this Apple phone that is making you excited? And maybe if you sit down and analyze, you notice that you can't even identify anything that is making you feel that Apple is better than Android or maybe Samsung. And sometimes when there's a new version that comes up, when a new version comes up, we rush to want to get that new version. And the features, no new versions, we are not even conversant with them. Some of them, we don't even use them. So how is Apple able to get us to desire iPhone 14, iPhone 17, whatever it is?
I lost a lot.
Right. How are they able to? And these are all things that we want to discuss in this session. And also understand these factors help you to play better on the market with your prices, because you're playing on the global market. Like I said, somebody would import the same products that you are selling in Ghana. Remember that in Ghana, people are trying to produce tomatoes, maybe 10 tomatoes. And the 10 tomatoes that they are producing, they take the raw materials from the producers in Ghana, and the chemical components of those things are not as high as the one that they will import. Or you can even take chicken, and yet people will still import this chicken and buy the one that has a chemical one. How are they able to get us to buy some of these things? And so you have to also understand this in your pricing. The first thing that we want to discuss is something we call customers' willingness to pay. This is something that Constance used, but Laurentia used. That's I want to bring attention. I'm not sure whether you have the full understanding of what that means, but this is one of the critical things that we must understand in pricing. If you want to put any value on any product or service that you render, you must first understand this component, the customer's willingness to pay. So let's see what that means. Willingness to pay is the maximum amount of money a customer is willing to pay for a product or service. is the maximum amount a customer is willing to pay for your product or your service. And know that willingness to pay is not the same as price. Because the fact that you put a price on your product doesn't mean that that is what the customer is willing to pay. If the customer buys your product, it means that they have either equal or higher willingness to pay. A product may cost, may be priced at $0 or 0 cedis, but there still may be consumers or customers who would have paid money for it if it was offered for money. If the price of a product is higher than the customer is willing to pay, the consumer will not purchase the product. And that's one thing that you have to also understand. That if the person, and the willingness is what we want to get that point. How do you understand the willingness of the customer to pay something? If the customer's willingness to pay is less than your price, that one, the customer will not buy it. Once somebody buys your product, it means that their willingness is either equal or higher than the price that you've offered. So sometimes, and in most cases, about 90% of it, it is because their willingness to pay is higher than the price that you've given to them. That's what I buy. Well, though prices are easily observable, willingness to pay is not. So that's why I asked Laurentia how you are able to determine the willingness to pay of somebody. Because if I come and ask you right now that I want to sell let's say I want to sell a car to you, how much will you buy it? You will never tell me the highest, never give me the highest bid. Unless there is a reason, there is I create a certain scenario that will make you give me your best option. And that is what we will try and uncover. It is not so easy for you to get the customer's willingness to pay. As for price, because it is a standard and universal thing, you can know. Now, one other thing that you have to also understand is that price is more or less a way that we regulate who gets a certain product or service. We put a price on a product so that we can all play on the same field. That is why normally you have one price for a product. But the truth of the matter is that not all the customers have the same desire for that product, the same margin or magnitude of desire for the product. And that is very important for us to understand. This is what creates the challenge for managers, figuring out what the customer willingness to pay is. A customer's willingness to pay can be influenced by a variety of factors, and we'll look at some of them. And some of these factors can be something that you can see, such as their income or their gender. So for instance, if you are selling a product, those who sell clothes, they will tell you that if you sell female clothes, you get more money than if you sell male clothes. Auntie Constance, is that true?
That's very true.
Okay. So some of these things, they are something that you can actually observe, right? And then depend on the income level. Some people, when you see them, you know that these guys, they have money. But some of them too, you can't easily observe their willingness to pay because they are intrinsic. It could be that they are comparing substitutes, or they are looking at complementary. So, for instance, you are selling a certain clothes. Yes, at the end of the day, but the person's interest is. So, how do you know that a customer is interested in buying the clothes because they have a certain watch, a wristwatch that will match the clothes, or a certain shoe that will match the clothes, or that they have a female has a certain wig that will match the clothes. That's what they're buying. There are various reasons why customers buy. And pricing is one mechanism that we can use in some of these things. Understanding the factors that drives consumers' different willingness to pay can help business to segment their markets and develop differentiation marketing strategies to target different segments. Okay, let me take a question, or let's see if anybody can tell me how you understand by the willingness to pay of a customer. And I mean, when you're talking, you can use your business as a scenario so that it will be more practical for all of us. Anybody?
Okay, I didn't quite finish with what I was saying. My internet connection is very crazy today. So, when you talk about pricing for my company, it's more of a brand than a price. And we pride ourselves in not selling products per se, but we sell solutions. So our pricing is more or less the satisfaction and the value that they are getting. And I talk about consumers' willingness to pay. There are certain products that we have immediately they leave the production room, they are gone. They are willing to pay for the product, not because of anything, but because the brand is known for delivering on its promises when it comes to what the product claims to do. And secondly, trust with the brand makes them willing to pay. What the value that they will get makes them willing to pay for their products. And the testimonials and other things that other people have also given is something that motivates them to pay. I mean, they are willing to pay and to come back and to come back and to come back. So for me, pricing is more of the value than in fiscal terms.
Okay, so let me just two things. Let me just rush into two things. So one is that demand and supply are quite different from willingness to pay. That's the first thing, and I'll speak about it. That's the second point is that the markets, your customers, almost if you have 100 customers on the entire market, almost all of them have different willingness to pay. So let's create a scenario. Let us say that the entire population of people who want to buy your clothes, there are 10 of them. If you produce 5, there will be demand because supply is not up to the market demand, right? So there will be people who want to come. That may push the willingness to pay. But the point is that how would you know how to price? So if you say, assuming you say you give it to them at, let's say, 100 cedis, and they buy a lot, like they come and they are all over it and then they buy it. It doesn't necessarily mean that that is their willingness to pay. It may be that there's demand and that the supply is not enough. So you get people to do that, right? But again, the people may have, if you have offered the same product for them at 500 cedis, some people would have bought it.
Yeah, some also wouldn't.
But how would you know how many would have bought it? Do you understand?
I do understand. That is when it is need driven. But what
Oh, okay.
even
I give an example about Cocoa King and then the normal cocoa that we sell.
me, I make cosmetics and
So
personal care.
sometimes it may not necessarily be that it may be the same thing. So how did Cocoa King give us 5 times price and people buy more than the normal porridge seller at the junction?
How they package themselves.
So it means
The
that
brand.
it means that the willingness to pay for cocoa itself may be more than the one thing that we're buying it. Just that we are not tapped into how to drive that willingness. So it's really possible. And I'm sure some people go to some restaurant and then they buy the same cocoa for what, 50 cents and like that. Right? So it then tells you that it's the same product. It's the same product, right? So how are people buying it more than other people? So it tells you that on the market, the willingness to pay, you can only know the willingness to pay by stirring up the market. In fact, some people will tell you that the best way to understand or to know the willingness to pay of people is to price very high. And when price very high, especially when you have been able to really get the demand of the people. If you price very high and then the people say, oh, wait there, no, wait there, mean then, so for instance, let me give you an example with, let's say, cars. Somebody would buy, let's say, Mercedes-Benz at a very high cost. But that same price, if you give the same, maybe similar model of, say, Kia, that person will not buy with that same price. So that is one important thing that you have to understand, that there could be that the demand is there and people are buying, but it could also mean that you actually also shortchanging yourself because you're not pricing right. Maybe because you're getting some profits, you are excited. Oh, Charlie, people are buying the thing. So, okay.
Yeah. For us, what I was saying was that for us, our pricing is at a percentage. We price in such a way that, you know, after all the operating costs and everything, our profit is a margin. It's a percentage.
Okay.
And yeah, every year we raise it, you know, a little bit. And so it's enough to make sure, and so it's affordable for my niche, because mine is a niche market. So what it does is that we do not just look at the cost and arbitrarily say we are adding this. It's always a percentage of all the production and everything taken out of it. A percentage of what we do. It's a percentage, yeah. So that means that it cuts across for every product that we make, and it is able to absorb shocks like fluctuating prices and all of those things. And it is also enough to help us to also delight our customers by giving them some freebies and other things, you know, as and when.
All right. So let's see that by the time we end the first part and get to the second part about the real different kinds of pricing, we will answer some of the questions and then see how it goes. Let's see.
Evaluate how I do mine, whether I should continue or I should stop.
Okay. So there's another component that we must also factor in when we are talking about pricing. So for instance, I was asking Laurentia about the fixed cost. So let me give you an example. Assuming that, you know that in most cases, when talking about your production costs, there are fixed and variable costs. There are some of them that, like your machine, whether you produce or you don't produce, the machine cost is still machine cost.
Yeah.
Right. And so somebody will tell you that the price that, or the real cost that you must take into consideration when you are looking at the pricing is the variable one. If you can get some margin, a little bit margin on the variable, don't think about the fixed cost, because fixed cost is there. Whether you produce or you don't produce, you still pay it. So like I said that in your the labor, if the labor is a labor that's a fixed labor, that's been a problem, because then whether they give you more returns or not, you still have to pay them. So incremental margins will help you. Incremental margins on the variable. So if, for instance, your fixed costs, you invested 100 cedis, right, into buying a fixed asset that is producing your product. Then when you produce every one product, you spend, let's say, 2 cedis. If you and then you are able to, let's say, produce 50 of them, which means that the cost of your production is actually 100 cedis in variable, and then the fixed cost that you used is 100 cedis, so that's 200 cedis. If you want to sell, you will say that you will need to divide the 200 cedis by your production and then look at your margin. But actually, you need to just look at the variable cost. And if you get any margin on it, the more you produce, it will be taking care of your fixed cost. In fact, that's the concept of depreciation. So that you don't think that you can take care of the fixed cost at a production. So it's very important that we understand that there's another element called willingness to sell by the consumer. So in your production, you also use raw materials, you use human resource. At which price are these people willing to sell to you? What is the lowest that you can go with your staff? What is the lowest that you can go with the raw material that you are using? That such that if you go below that level, the person will tell you that I won't work, or the person will tell you that no, I will not sell to you. I will not give you this raw material. That is what we call the supplier's willingness to sell. So I remember back in the days when we used to do interviews for staff. One of the questions that I will ask you before you leave is that what is the minimum salary that you want to take? That if we give you below that, you would say that I won't work. I would rather stay home. Interestingly, when you ask these questions, many people will tell you that they don't have, but you should have.
They have it in their minds.
In production, as for production, people will tell you that no, me raw material, this is what you're going to make any anchor main talk. So that's what we call the willingness to sell. So this is typically viewed from the standpoint of the business or of a business. And the willingness to pay is the consumer's willingness to pay for the firm's complete product or service. Willingness to sell is willingness of the supplier of your raw material or the input materials that you use for your production. And this input material include a human resource and every other thing. It includes a human resource, include even the rent that you are using, it include everything that make you produce the good or the service that you are selling. And again, it is the opportunity cost of the buyer and the lowest price the seller would like to sell, as I explained. The difference between the willingness to pay and the willingness to sell is the total cost created. So for instance, if your input material costed you, let's say, 100 cedis, and then, or that is the minimum that you can get it. And then after you have done the production, the market, the customer is willing. I'm not talking about price here. I'm talking about the willingness. Assuming you know that the maximum mark that they want to pay is 200 cedis. Then you have created a value of 100 cedis for the products. That is how you calculate value of products. So even to know the value, the worth, the actual worth of your product is not an easy thing to know. Because if you go and ask randomly. People, this is not something you can use research to go and ask people. You need to use mechanism that will drive the need of the people to say, yes, this is the maximum I can pay. And sometimes they use various things that we will discuss. The value captured by a buyer is the difference between the willingness to pay and price. So let me explain that. The buyer is the one that has a willingness to pay. Let's say that the products that you produce, Mother Constant produce, the willingness to pay for that product is, let's say, 500 cedis. But she has priced a product as 200 cedis. And maybe she's even excited because the cost of producing was 100 cedis. So once she got into 200, she was excited. But actually, if she had pushed and say, I'll sell this thing, the maximum the customer would have bought the thing is 500 cedis. Then we say that between the price that you gave and the willingness for the customer to buy, that customer has created a certain value for themselves. Please, is it understood?
Take it again. Can you take it again?
Okay, so I'm saying that, let's say that the clothes that you sew and you say that they are high ends.
Mm-hmm.
If you push somebody to buy, the highest match that they can buy, right? The highest match that they will want to pay is 500 Ghana cedis. But you have priced the product as 200 Ghana cedis. And the reason why you price it at 200 Ghana cedis is because your cost of production is 100 cedis. And so you are excited that somebody has bought a thing as 200 Ghana cedis. What we are saying is that the customer has created value for themselves. So that's why sometimes you can go and buy something in the market and then you think that with the minyan for, because you could have paid more. And if you have pushed, you have paid more. So the reason why because minyan for is because you have created value for yourself. The price is lower than your willingness to pay. So at that point, we say that the customer has created value for themselves. On the other way around, if the supplier has maybe the raw material that you are using for your product, right? The lowest the supplier would want to go in selling to you is 50 cedis. And then was able to bargain with you, and therefore you also pay 100 cedis. The customer will be excited within themselves. They may not show it to you, but they'll be excited within themselves. Why? Because they created value for themselves. Because if you had beaten it down, they would have gone down. And I'm sure those of us who sell, maybe you sell things, you know, especially the one that we bargain, you know that at the end of our tongue, we win a good price. Because if the customer had pushed down, you would have accepted it. So the reason why you say that you got a good price is because you think that you sold it at a margin, at higher than how you would have sold it. I hope these two differences are clear. The value that a customer can create and the value that a business can create. Profits, or Larisha, you want to say something?
I had only to say yes, it was understood.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Profit or value captured is the difference between price and cost. So this time we are moving to the level of our production. So if you sell something at a profit, the margin is your is the value that you captured as a business. Willingness to sell and costs on the supplier side can be compared to willingness to pay and price on the consumer side. So we've said that it is the consumer that we relate to when we're talking about the willingness to pay. And the question is, how do you know how much? Sometimes if it is a bargaining basis, you have to bargain until it says and you may call. And sometimes Remember, we talked about the fact that some of the willingness to sell to pay are intrinsic. You don't know. The reason why they are saying they are going is because they are thinking of a competition. Another person may sell it lower to them and they will get more value. It's not because they wouldn't have paid for it. Okay, let's run a little faster. The value created by a business is the difference between the willingness to pay of its consumer and the willingness to sell of its supplier. So again, it's just the same as what we said up there as the profit and the cost at that point. The difference between the price that a business charges its consumers and the price it pays its suppliers, also referred to as the firm cost, is its profits. Costs are important in analyzing whether a company's business is in good shape and in deciding how much a company should produce. You know that the reason why you couldn't produce more is because the cost of production could be high. Is there a way that you could actually beat the cost of production down? Have you thought about it that could I actually, is there a way I can, this raw material, I'm buying it at this time, at this much, is there a way I can buy it lower? Now, let me give you guys an example. I'm sure that those of you who do agro processing, you have heard the story that goes around that some of the Asian guys, like the Chinese, they come with money, they go to the north, they give the money to the farmers, they farm for them, and before they even farm, they've actually bought the products. And because of that, they buy the things very cheap. As compared to you who want to go there and buy. So the way that they will sell to that person is cheaper than they will sell to you. So that Chinese person has found a way to basically reduce the willingness to sell of that person. And that is something that we should also be thinking about. Okay, so now let's look at the market itself. So we mentioned that the market itself also has a lot more to deal with some of these things. But first, let me ask, the willingness to sell, is it something that is understood?
I would appreciate if you could go over that, because it's not something that I've really thought about very much.
Okay, so we're saying, so in simple terms, willingness to sell is related to the supplier of your raw material. Okay. So I don't know. So let's, in your clothes, as you produce the what raw materials do you use?
I'm a cosmetic formulator. Okay, I use actives. I use a lot of raw materials. I use botanicals. I use waxes. All right. A whole lot.
So you buy those things from somebody, and
yes, I do.
And those people that you buy those things from, what we are saying is that there is a certain margin, certain level that if you say they should sell to you, they will say, okay, at this point, I will not go below this. So I will not be selected at all. Right? We are saying that it is not just an easy thing by just saying, because sometimes the reason why they are saying to you is because somebody will buy it at a little higher than you. Not because they can't sell it below what you're asking, but because somebody. So is there a way that you can induce? And that's why I give you an example that those Chinese people, the way they are buying the raw material up north, if you go there and you want to buy the same at the same price, that person will not sell it to you. The reason is because these Chinese guys give them the money to even do the farm themselves. So the person has found a way to reduce the willingness to sell of the supplier.
Yeah.
So you need to ask yourself, the one who gives me the raw materials, or maybe, and when I say raw material, I'm talking about including staff. Is there a way that the staff costs can go down and not affect the quality of the production? And these are things that we should think about as managers, as entrepreneurs, because costs affect our production line. It actually affects how much you can even produce. What it means is that if you can reduce the salary that you're paying, say, let's say, Lauricia, if you can reduce the salary that you're paying to your staff, you can use that margin of money to produce more. So it should be something that should be concerned about. All right. Is it understood now?
Yeah.
Yeah, because your yeah is dragging.
Because yeah, when the recording comes, I will just read over and analyze and make a summary. That will help me.
Okay. Anybody has? Okay. I see that there's one who said is noted.
But I really agree with what you just said, that because of competition, sometimes others will have an advantage over us. Like you mentioned, the Chinese. That's the willingness of the supplier to sell. Yeah.
Right.
But whatever way, we will still make our profits.
But you see, aside that, because take the Chinese person also as part of the people who are playing in the same. So forget about that. But ask yourself how that person is able to induce the willingness to sell. Because again, I gave you example of cars. Ask yourself, what is making somebody want to pay more money to go and buy a Mercedes-Benz, even if it has the same features as the car that is Kia? There should be a reason why somebody will pay more money. It's not like Mercedes-Benz don't get accidents.
Class, there is the Benz and there are the others.
Oh, well, okay. So how did they get to that level? Because in the same consumers on the market.
Performance is one, durability is one.
Okay.
And class, the brand is class. Right.
So these are things that you have to think about. But again, like I said, we look at prices using pricing mechanism. Now, market analysis. Market describe relationship between buyers and sellers, and this is very common knowledge. Or what's happening when demand and supply comes together. So, like I mentioned, what it is that the market its own has its forces. Sometimes the market forces can cause a certain price to look like it is a good price, but just because the market forces is there. It doesn't mean that drives the willingness to pay. And maybe some people may just be doing anything anyhow, and still they'll get. We used to say that if you cook food and you sell, maybe a chain but you still finish selling it.
I have a question.
Even if it is not nice.
Not everybody wants to buy that food anyway, except we are talking about willingness, but I think that purchasing power also has, because you may go out to buy a car and all you can afford is a Kia, like you said, even though you are dying for Benz. So at what point does this also come into play?
Okay, so you're using a terminology that is almost the same as the willingness to pay. You call it purchasing power. Yeah. Well, you call it. I'm sure we just joined somewhere. Right? So, but you call it purchasing power because you think that is how much the person can afford.
Ability to pay.
Yes, but you see, yes.
Well, willingness may not translate into ability.
Well, if it's well, and when I talk about willingness, we're talking about willingness itself. It means the person can actually borrow to add to what they have to buy a thing.
I haven't looked at it that way. I wasn't looking at it that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you don't think people borrow to buy your clothes?
Oh, they do every time. I don't sell clothes. I'm done with garments and apparel. I used to.
So people buy, to buy your cosmetics. They
Yeah.
they will borrow. They will
Yeah,
borrow.
they will, especially for the corrective ones. They will. If they have not so bad, they will go to all ends to clear it. It doesn't matter how much it costs them, they will.
Yeah. So you see, sometimes those factors can even influence that customer's willingness to pay because of a certain condition.
Yeah.
Like, okay, prices contain the information that coordinates and incentivize both demand and supply side of the market. So basically, the prices is what brings the buyer and the seller together. So see price as a very important. That is why I said that in your pricing, you cannot just think about your side, only your production cost and your margin. You should think about the supply, the demand as well, the market itself. And so if you are pricing, maybe unconsciously, the market is playing because the market forces is helping your product. But as a business person, you should be interested in selling better and selling more.
Yeah.
Okay. Prices therefore serve a coordinating role for the market.
Oh, that was too fast.
I'm
We
trying to see
jumped. Okay, all right.
I was trying to see if I can. Okay. Prices therefore serves, it basically was an emphasis, serves as a coordinating role for the market. It just coordinates the market. It's just like saying that, let's say, the reason why I've been able to know you is because Hyperspace created a platform. Or let's even say that Zoom created a platform that will let us connect from the US to Ghana. All right. I'm trying to see if I really need to add. So market equilibrium, the price and quantity where demand and supply intersect is usually called market outcome or market equilibrium. So at this point, the market, the consumer want to buy, and then you the producer too want to sell. And at this point, price is exactly where demand and supply are the same. Where the
Please
buyer
take
wants.
this slowly. We just jumped from the market, the last one to the market equilibrium. And you're talking about price and quantity, where the
Yes.
demand and supply intersects.
Yes.
So that's the market. So okay, the market outcome is the same as the market equilibrium.
Yes.
Okay. It's the point where supply and demand meet or balance each other out. Is that it? If I don't get you this first time, reading the notes will become a problem. Once I get it, then it's
Yes.
there. So that's why I'm worrying you. Okay.
So which means that when the market is at equilibrium, there is no excess demand or supply.
Balances.
So at this point, we're talking about market. We're talking about, and you know that what brings the market is the product or the service.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are saying is that at that point of equilibrium, it means that there is no excess demand, there is no excess supply.
Okay. All needs are met.
So I mean, there's no other person, because the reason why this is important is that when the production is more than the demand, it affects the price, it affects your selling. And when the demand is more than the production too, it also affects the pricing. So it's better for us to know which level we are, and that's why we're starting from this point. Price change affects the market. So if at the equilibrium price, the amount that you are selling is how much the customer want to buy. If you reduce it, it means that some people will buy more, so some will not get some.
Mhm.
And if you increase it, it means that people will not buy.
May. Okay, at this point, price is exactly where demand and supply are.
Mhm.
It's exactly where demand and supply are the same.
Yes.
Meaning the price is exactly what is being demanded and what the supply is asking for.
And what, yes, and what you, the supplier, is asking exactly.
Sorry, that was an ambulance.
No problem. So exactly what you just said. So the price is where you who are asking, and then the customer is also demanding. That is where you have the equilibrium price. So when there's a change, it affects the market. Let me see how much we have before we take a little. All right. Creating a market. So what's happening on the market today is not a guarantee of tomorrow's market because of demand and supply.
Please, Henry,
Yes.
we are doing pricing. I think we've done the market analysis, the equilibrium, and the other things. Do you mind summarizing them up or relating them to each other before we talk about creating a market? Because those things directly deal with pricing. Well, this also.
It's part of the pricing. So
Okay.
maybe, yeah, so that's why I want us to flow. I'm sure once we get to the end, you understand
Okay.
putting all of them together. So we're saying that what is happening on the market today, how much you are selling, how much people are demanding, how much you are even buying your raw material, is not a guarantee for tomorrow's market. It's not guaranteed that tomorrow you buy the same raw material the way you are buying today. And one of the reasons why it is not guaranteed is because of demand and supply. Maybe there will be a time that how many of us thought that face mask will be in demand, right? So something could be created in the market to change situations. So it is very important that you understand your business in that area, that things can change. So you have to create a market that would help you to what did I do? Okay. The way to ensure you are still in business tomorrow is your business ability to be different. Do we agree? Do we agree?
Can you take that again?
The way that you can ensure that your business is still operating tomorrow is how different you are.
Yes.
So somebody said that her business is not affected by forces. So this is just an emphasis to say that if you are different, if you're able to differentiate yourself from a lot, when the market shakes, you are able to be strong. And the way to be different is by increasing customers' willingness, their desire to buy your product. So that if something happens in the market and they don't want to buy from anybody, they want to come and buy from you. And you should be able to do, so there are two levels to do that. One, creating that desire on the market, and two, creating the desire with your suppliers to want to sell to you. And you should do that in a way that will be difficult for others to copy. Please, does that make sense?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I gave an example here. I said that Apple does this. It creates markets by what we call repeated innovation. So they keep innovating. People keep saying they don't have money. But Sky Crazy when you be about iPhone 14. So even if the market goes down, they've created a niche for themselves that you know that as for iPhone, it's an innovation. They thrive on innovation. And we know Jumia in Ghana. So Jumia also does this by what they call economy of scale. So they have to get a lot of products on the app, on the platform, in a way that you know that say we say Facebook does this by network effects. So you see that each is using some innovation strategy or strategy to create market for themselves. Uber does this by the model. When people are scared to sit in taxis, so let's play this scenario. If at night you are standing at, let's say, Awudome, okay, and then a taxi pulled up by you. You were looking for a car. A taxi pulled up by you and say, "Where are you going? I can take. Will you jump into it?"
Oh.
Which one will you pick, an Uber or a taxi?
Well, which I've called for.
Yes, but yes, so Uber, you want to, at that point, you want to call an Uber. Even though you don't know the driver, there's a model they've created in a way that at the point that you don't want to go, the market has cracked, that you don't want to go to anywhere, you want to go to them. And we say pharmacies do this by patenting. So you can't duplicate what they have done. Can you find your business's market creation in any of these models or in a different way? Let's take two of you. Tell us, how do you think you can create a market for yourself? If you pick any of the ones that innovation, economy of scale, network effects, a new business model or patents, you tell us how that would be. Is that possible? Can we get two people to do that? Otherwise, we continue. I want to be sure that you are getting it.
Okay, so let me speak for my brand. You see, by being different and unique, if I should expose some of my products to you, you see that they are very unique. Those that I'm on the platform with, I don't know, Laurentia, are you my Laurentia? Yeah. So those that I'm on the platform with knows that my products are very unique and they are different. So that we do not just use any products. Now we do our research. We have things that we call coenzyme Q10, which people like Nivea have also started adding to their products. We use certain ingredients that are quite, innovative. We always look at the emerging trends in cosmetics, and no matter how expensive the ingredients are, we'll make sure we get them. And so those kinds of innovations it's difficult for people to replicate because they are not readily available and they make our products stand out. So for us, that is one of our strengths. That is one of our strengths, and that is why we don't look at what other people are doing. We look at how we will be unique, different, and stand out, and give the results that people look for. So that is our strategy.
Okay, so just also to draw attention to one adjective that we added: repeated innovation. So once you pick innovation, make sure that your innovation is repeated innovation. I can give you an example. I'm sure that you are familiar with a company called Kodak.
Kodak.
Okay. Okay, let's come to, or you are familiar with
Oh, that is it, the photograph, the people who do things for
Yes.
color photography.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Or you are familiar with BlackBerry phone.
Yeah.
You know that it
Yeah.
was the most innovative. I remember when I was working in the bank. When I was working in the bank,
Wow.
everybody had one, and everybody wanted
Yeah.
to be BlackBerry.
Yeah.
What happened to them? They were doing innovation, but they were not repeated. They were just stagnant innovation. They were not following and understanding the market. They were just there. They thought that the market will wait for them.
Okay.
And today, I mean,
They are out. Who cares about Blueberry anymore? BlackBerry anymore?
Yes. So once you choose, innovation is very competitive. You must always be on the market, understanding how to go ahead of the market. But innovation is very, very difficult to meet because customer is dynamic. So you must be twice dynamic with innovation. As for economy of scale, sometimes it is a little easier because what you are doing is that you are even using pricing, lower pricing, because you are having aggregation, right? There are a lot of people there. So you have, the more your product, the more people come there. So it's just like a Bacola market kind of thing. A place where when you go, you know you can get everything. So they are using the networking effect to create that. That's why Facebook is still there, you know. Otherwise, people would have just jumped off long ago. So, and again, if the pharmacies were not patenting, I mean, for instance, one of the, those who are in the music industry, one of the things that they are always fighting for is that their music are being streamed out there and things like that. But if you don't create a brand, a patent that nobody can just duplicate and just go ahead away with, you will just be there, and before you know, you don't have any control anymore. So these are some of the ways that we can use to create market. You can create a market for your product or service through market assessments to influence the market outcome using pricing. So you want to influence the demand and then the supply using pricing. And then finally, it is important to note, and this is something that is going to lead us to the next part that we're going to end on, which is going to be the different kinds of pricing schemes. And therefore, I want you to take this point 6 very, very carefully, because it is something that if we don't get it, our pricing schemes we always feel that, everybody, we will always fight. We've gone through incubation and acceleration for businesses, and they'll come and tell you that, we told people like the thing. I don't know why when you produce it, they don't even want to pay. They don't even want to buy nowadays. It is important to note that there is no fair market. The business's survival depends on your ability to take control. If you wait for the market to take control, competition will take you off. So think about it. There are businesses, I've mentioned a few to you. I mean, I've known a few. In Ghana, there are organizations that a few years back, maybe 4 or 5 years back, they were the giants of our place. Now we can't find them anymore. One of the saddest reality that sometimes hits me about accounting, I keep on asking the question that, tell me any business that is still operating, of which the entrepreneur is no more in the scene. And it will be difficult to find much of these in our ecosystem. Once the entrepreneur is gone, the system cannot survive, cannot hold their business anymore. So please note that there's no fair market. And so what you're going to do now, we call it pricing discrimination. That's how we term it. You have to find a way to discriminate to be on top. And how do you do that? It's very important. Okay, let's go this part. Okay. So we are into pricing too. And this is where we're going to deal with the discrimination. Your business's strategy must be based on how you can remain competitive in the long run. In accounting, this is called a going concern. So think about your business. Ask yourself, will your business be surviving in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years? Will your business still survive in the next 100 years? Somebody just cooked rice and chicken. Today is a global brand, dead and gone long ago. Will your business survive? Rice and chicken, in fact, he was an old man when he started cooking rice and chicken. So you need to ask yourself, the way you run your business, the way you are running it, will it survive 20 years down the line? It means your business will be operative into something that is not just tomorrow, into the foreseeable future. It's the basis on which you prepare your budgets and put a plan together. And we'll deal with budgeting tomorrow. In the same way, pricing must be forward-looking and sustainable. I just wanted to also challenge Amanda Constant that, yes, maybe you're making good profit that is taking care of us, a few more things here and there, but think about building a bigger business, a business that people want to fly and want to come and buy, people would want to associate and affiliate with it. Unless maybe you just want to be self-employed and then acquire now the call.
No way.
If you want to be a business part, yeah, then you must not be content with making maybe a little margin that is taking care of your operations. Pricing must be forward-looking. You should be pricing in a way that you can think about the business 40, 50 years down the line. Your pricing and differentiation strategy are impacted by the markets your business operates in, either a monopoly or a competitive market. So monopoly versus competition. When we hear monopoly, sometimes we think that it is just one business in an industry. But we say that monopoly does not necessarily mean a company offers the only product or service. So what then is that? Monopoly can be by location based. So what it means is that let's say what you sell, the market, the people that sell are all stationed at one place. But in analysis, people travel and come there. You can get closer to places where people have to travel. And once you get close to some of the people, they will come to you. So you basically be the only one selling there. And sometimes by that, you can actually drive the willingness to pay higher. Because if they don't buy from you, they have to travel and incur additional costs to go to your competitor. So you can create monopoly for yourself. Think about your market. Think about those you sell the thing to. Who do you sell? Assuming that you sell your product to people who work in the corporate offices. But you also know that people who work at the corporate offices, there are no shops there. Is there a way you can create a market close to them? Some people can create a market using an app.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you sit in your house and then you can order things. You don't know where the shop is and you order it and it comes. Meanwhile, if you are just, you could have gotten the same products down the place, but because you don't want to move, so that person who have created the app has created a monopoly. So you know that they're not the only ones selling that product, but they've been able to create monopoly for themselves. Can you think about your brand and how you can create monopoly? These are the thoughts that I want to put in your mind. It can also happen per product, where even though a business has competitors, they enjoy some exclusivity for certain products. Monopoly refers strictly to a situation where there is a single firm or producer in the market. Is that too fast?
Yeah, especially the last one. It disappeared way too fast. Okay. Before the monopoly versus competition. Yes, I thought you were going to dwell a little bit on the repeated innovation. Maybe after the lesson.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you can put a question down when when we can still go back. Our time is running, so we have it's about so the analysis of monopolies is more generally useful for understanding situation when firms have substantial pricing power. So let me explain this part. So what we are saying is that when you enjoy monopoly, it means that basically you are the one who controls the price. Is that understandable?
Yes.
And that is why you want to create that. So for instance, you are being able to get close to the market, and people, if they don't buy from you, the competition is extra cost, so they'll come to you, and because of that, your price is maybe a margin higher than the normal price, but they'll still come to you because it's convenient. And again, let me give you the Uber and taxi thing. Sometimes the Uber may be expensive, but because of the model you're running, you will still do it. You still buy that Uber. You still use that Uber. So it is something that we can think about. I remember when mobile money was first introduced onto our market, people thought, oh, the way our internet is, we're not sure that this will work. I said, people are just going to be out of business. I remember I wrote a few journals to the banks and said, look, if you don't play in this field, count yourself out of the business. Because customers are becoming, they want convenience. People don't want to come to the bank anymore. They want to sit in their homes and do banking. So if they can do it without having to log into a system called maybe an internet platform, it is easy for them. So please think about it. Today in villages, and the penetration rate was so high that now governments had to tax mobile money. When it came, nobody thought about it to think about taxes, because they thought like, oh, this is not something that we need anything about. Now government has to tax it because the usage and then the value that is being moved along mobile phones, you have no idea. Transaction has now moved from the banks onto phones. So it's so important that you think about your business in those areas. And it is not like it is so easy. You know that the charges that you pay over money is higher, it's so high, way higher than you pay on bank charges. And yet you still could use Momo. Why? Because you are getting convenience. So is there a way you can create a situation where even when your price is high, people will still want to come because you have kind of created a market for yourself? The ability to set price above cost without meaningful competition or retaliation defines monopoly. One reason for the different pricing scheme in the monopoly compared to competitive market is that monopolists do not face price war. So they can raise prices because nobody's coming to compete with them. So we're talking about prices. So we're talking about pricing, how you can price well so that, yes, as a what you know, so because of the way you have created a niche for yourself, basically you have drawn the market attention to you. And so they are willing to pay a premium for your products or your service. So now let's jump straight into the price discrimination, the various types of pricing scheme that you can use. At this point, I want you to pay very rapt attention. And then after that, we will discuss. We'll see what kind of pricing scheme you are using and which one you think you can introduce to your business. The analysis of monopoly pricing rests on the assumption that the firm charges the same price for every unit of the good to every customer. In practice, firms are often able to price discriminate, that is, charge different prices to different consumers or set different prices for different units of a product. So those of us who have general pricing, that's why I asked the Ike that how do you factor in the consumer? Don't forget that we are talking about this also on the backdrop of willingness to pay. And we have said that on the market, actually, or if you have 100 people in the market, almost all of them may have different willingness to pay because they may have different reasons for the product. And so they are willing, how much they want to pay is different from each other. So how can you sell to all of them at different prices? And that's what we're going to be doing. How do you try to sell your product or your service to the different market segments at different prices? So we're saying that in practice, you can do that. To price discriminate, a firm must be able to prevent buyers with a higher willingness to pay from purchasing at a lower price. That's the way you can discriminate. So yes, the product appears or looks like it's the same, but people are paying different prices for it. How do you do that? If consumers are indistinguishable, this can be challenging. If your BMC, the customer side, you can't segment your customers, then it will be difficult for you to do this. So please, one thing that you have to understand, one chart that all of us must really master is our BMC. And in our financial training, there is part of it, I think in the second or third model, that we actually had a valuation of the BMC. It's not part of this course, but it is part of this particular training.
Harry.
Yes, please.
You're talking about, I see the point 1 and point 2. I'm looking at it. So you're saying that in analyzing monopoly, pricing rests on the assumption that the firm charges the same price for every unit of the good to every customer. Mm-hmm. That means it is not arbitrary. Mm-hmm. And it does not involve bargaining. And then, but you said that you talked about the analysis and you're talking about the practice.
Yes.
Are you getting me? Okay.
Yes.
So in practice, firms are often able to price discriminate.
Yes.
They are able to.
Yes.
Yeah, that is.
So I'm just saying that.
The practice is not the same as the.
Okay, not necessarily so. I'm just saying that if you have just one price, right, for your products, you can actually do more. You can charge different prices for different customers.
I see, like making them offers.
So that's what we're getting to. I just want you to get understanding that most of us, that's what we do. We have one price for everybody. But I want you to understand that your customers are not the same. And some of them, their satisfaction are also not the same. Mm-hmm. So you, and I'm just saying that you can, there's a way that you can sell to them based on their satisfaction and based on their desire for the thing. And that's what we're going to get to. So there are different pricing schemes. I think there were 5 or so of them that we'll discuss. Price discrimination, that's what we call it. That's why I said that there's no fair market. You have to find a way to discriminate among even the customers. Price discrimination could also be prevented by competition from other firms, or if clients with low willingness to pay could purchase the product and resell it to customers with high willingness to pay. Let me explain that. If you sell your product at one price, okay, and then it is below the willingness to pay of the lowest client, the client with lowest willingness to pay, what you are creating is creating a Golo Boys situation. You're creating an adjoining market. So those people who buy it and go and sell it to the people who have higher willingness to pay. And that is something that we should think about. Maybe because our market is not so big, sometimes some of these things doesn't arise. But if you are somebody who really, and this is an accelerator, that's why we're discussing this. Accelerator means that you want to grow your business. This is an accelerator, then you're thinking about a bigger market. Where I am now, the business that I do, I run a service, and what I do, I have to create a system that I can charge people differently, even if I'm giving them the same service, because the satisfaction for one is different from the other one. So, for instance, I could go to a different place to have a conversation, to train people, and the way I will brand the conversation would cost more because of the caliber of people that you are dealing with. And yet you can go to another place and you have to give them to them for free. The same content. Okay. So the first price discrimination mechanism is what we call a perfect price discrimination of first degree. If you can write this thing, that would be great. So this part, I will slow down a little bit so you can write. So the first one is called perfect or first degree price discrimination. This form of price discrimination involves setting a different price for each customer or consumer for each unit of the product. This assumption considers fully understanding customers' willingness to pay and identifying how to set prices based on each customer's willingness to pay. So you have to understand that the reason why it's called perfect is that set perfection, they are not to get it. If different customers have different willingness to pay, it means different prices for each customer. That's why it is called perfect. So it's the perfect. So it means that you know that the market has 100 customers. Each of them, maybe one want to buy the product at 50 cedis, and I want to buy 55, 70. And you know, because you know, you are actually selling it like that to each one of them. This is a perfect price situation where you know and can charge each customer their maximum willingness to pay. You need a lot of research to do this. So,
okay.
Is this understood?
Well, let's assimilate it and see.
Okay. I'm here for
Okay.
You can write it. You can take the notes, and if you have a question.
It said it involves setting a different price for each consumer. How about you? I'm thinking like it sounds quite inconsistent. Like unless you do the segmentation, because otherwise, if one person gets to know that this is how much you sell to, this is how much you sell to the other person, don't you can breed some.
let me ask you a question. If when you're going to board a plane, do you know how many people who are sitting just this next seat to you who are paid less than you?
A discounted. No?
It's not discounted. It's your toy, no, different. It's in your own toy. But the point we are saying is that this is perfect. We'll get to that level, but this is a perfect one, right? This is where you know. So, for instance, you're talking about if somebody know. Let's say that somebody has been told that the cosmetic that you produce is able to heal something in their bones. You know that their desire to buy the product is high than somebody who is just buying it because they saw somebody buy it. Yeah. And so that person who has been told that this thing will heal doesn't care whether he's buying it twice the one who doesn't know. The question is, how do you know the difference? That's why we say that this one, you need a lot of research. But we just want you to understand that there is something like that called perfect price discrimination. And that system is where you know how much, like you use the term purchasing power. You know the purchasing power of every customer, and therefore you are selling to them by their purchasing power.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is one type of price discrimination. And the reason why discrimination is just the way you say it's what you said, that you are selling same thing for different people at different prices. So it's discriminatory. But that is because there's no perfect market.
Okay.
The second is what we call the two-part tariff. There's two-part tariff price discrimination. So two-part tariff involves firms setting a per unit price for a product, sometimes equal to 0, and charging a fixed fee to capture additional cost. So I'll explain further. Two-part tariff are an effective and relatively easy way for firms to price discriminate. One way by which firms do this is to charge a membership fee or subscription fee and charge a bid-bound differential fee. Is it understood?
Yeah.
So, for instance, it's not in Ghana, but here in the United States, there are some places, there are some shops that you have to be a member to be able to shop there. And to be a member means that you have to subscribe. So you pay some, and once you're a member, like, you know that their prices are more cheaper than other places. But basically, you are paying them upfront. This does to a company is that at the beginning of the year, you have, again, yesterday, remember we said that you should be able to create a recurring income revenue. Once you know that you have a certain people that have subscribed to a service or a product that you have, that money is constant coming in. Mm-hmm. So this one, I think that, for instance, Ike and his group can even use this a lot. But again, like I said, think about it as we go. Think about how can I use any of these to price discriminate. Okay, so we are in number 3. Sure. Number 3 is what we call self-select or second-degree price discrimination. This is the system where customers can self-select their price based on their preferences. By this system, businesses do not have to charge the different prices. Consumers select according to their willingness to pay. Think of the airline. So like I mentioned, the airline. How they allow customers to select their preferences with different pricing. Coaches, business class, first class. Planes in anything.
At the window side.
So in your business, can you create a system where the customers select a certain way, something that they want? They select by their own preference and pay.
Pay on their own price.
Yes. So the price may be in ranges. So for instance, let's say Laurentia mentioned that their prices is such that the customer pays the transportation. So what if I want to drive a car and pick the thing?
Mhm.
Could you create a system where the customer can pick and say, you deliver to me, or I will come and pick it? Or that deliver to a certain place? Okay. And again, this part, you know that usually there are some predetermined product that can give us this, even this. So for instance, when you go to KFC right now and you want to order food, they've put those things at some places so that you can choose by numbers and pay more.
Yeah. Like the
Please.
groupings.
Yes. Is this okay?
Okay, so in my case, we have certain products that come in units. We have others that come in a set.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one way of us doing that, so that the willingness to pay for somebody of a lower, this will not be the same as that of those who have a higher willingness to pay. I mean, those who want to do more. So that is how we do ours. We have some of the products in units. We have them in like a set of 2. There are some with a set of 6. That also be part, so that but if you buy them in units, you could buy them, except that they might appear cheaper for you, but in actual fact, when you get them in a group, it's the same if you have bought them together like that. But because of your purchasing power, you may want to purchase them in units, and we might even end up getting more from you by doing that.
Right. Okay. I hope I'm communicating. It's like I'm having a conversation with 2 people. Okay. Let's take so this is the 3rd one. Let's take the 4th one. So the 4th one is what we call consumer classification price discrimination, or the 3rd degree. So this is a form of price discrimination where firms charge different prices to different consumers based on observable features like their youth, or they are older, or by their gender, or by their status, or something that you can just see. So their price, is there a way that you can charge more for other people to create space for you to charge less for other people?
There's some form of segmentation, sort of.
Say again?
Like a form of segmentation.
Yes, that's why I said that for pricing, you should know your customers.
Young, youth, older, gender.
Because everything you're doing is because of the customers. So I said that as for your
Demographics.
your BMC, your customer segmentation, you should really have that customer side. it should be one part that you really, really, in fact, even if you didn't know before you start the business, you should create a system where you will begin to understand them. And I told you, one of the ways is even the metrics that we spoke about yesterday. Calculating them on a monthly basis will give you a certain idea of how they and times that they buy. Sometimes even within a month, you can calculate within a month, and you know that, oh, beginning of the month things are a bit slow, or in the middle of the month things are like this. So it helps you to strategize and know that, okay, so if I need to do production, or I need to take some leave, these are the times that I can take some leave, and these are the times that I cannot. So as for your customers, you should always know them and go ahead of them. In fact, customers like it when you tell them their own story. That is what innovation basically is about. That is what Apple does to us. They come and tell you that you actually need a phone that has double something, picture something. I don't know how many of us use those things. And yet we buy it. So it is very, very important that we have. So this third-degree price discrimination, the situation where you are selling based on observable features. Then we come to bundling. So you can also use bundling to price discriminate. And bundling is not just easy. You cannot just say, oh, as for me, I just sell one product, so I cannot bundle.
Bundling is what we do.
So sometimes in bundling, so let me give you an example. And maybe this one can even go to the hyperspace guys. You know that now the banks are bundling hub operation and banking. They're running trainings for their clients. They are adding insurance to their investments. You know, insurance there for home. They're putting, so when you're bundling, you don't necessarily need to be bundling only your service or your product. So yes, maybe you sell cream. What else can go with the cream? It's not something that you sell or you produce, but you can create a bundle out of it.
Yeah, we do. For our hair products, for instance, we have a scalp massager, which we don't manufacture. We have an electric steaming cap. So you buy our oil, you use it with our oils. We have shower caps and other things that we add to it. And we call it the self-care kits. Yeah, so you see it and you want to buy it because it has everything in it for you. So that is how we do our bundling. Yeah.
So price bundling is another way for firms to effectively price discriminate. Price bundling is more effective when consumers' preference for the products are varied. So the consumer has various preferences, right? They have real preferences. So for instance, one, and I think it is even here. Oh, okay. But maybe I'll get there. But just to jump ahead, one of the industry that does a lot of bundling, as I'm sure that this is not news to us, the telcos. Right. So they bundle data and call. And then they even the call crown, they even have a different way of bundling it. The one that is on net and off net. And on net and off net, they have a home. But they sell it to you. It looks like it is cheaper, but truth is that you yourself, you know that's off net and things. You are not even going to use it. you don't have anybody anywhere they're going to call who is outside of Ghana, but they've bundled and added some international call with 2 minutes be account. So bundle pricing helps firms to put more than one product, either complementary or not, together for a bundle price. This pricing can achieve perfect discrimination, even in unrelated product. So usually they'll put this together in a way that if they ask you to just buy only data, so they know that there are some group of people who like data, some people who just like only calls, but they bundle the thing so that they put all of you on the same page. They send the thing to all of you. So basically, you are paying more for something you are not using, and somebody else is paying more than what they are not using. So they are basically getting more, and that is what we can also do. Sometimes we can identify that what we are selling, people are not buying it, but they're buying a certain product that looks like it is complementary to your product, or that it supplements your product, or maybe it looks like it is, yes. If they don't buy yours, they will buy that one. You can create a certain bundle that they get 2 of that and get 1 of yours at a price that is half of something, because maybe you can go and buy those things in bulk and get it cheaper, and then you are selling it in units that they go on there and buy it in maybe in a higher price, and then you reduce it because you are selling them in bulk and selling them with your product. Again, bundling is a way that we can even can help us to introduce new products into the market, because you are introducing a new product together with a known product. People would buy they may buy the bundle because of the known product, and then by so doing, you introduce the new product to them. And for all you know, the new product may be your gens. So think about bundling as well. It can also be effective when you have different customer types. So like we said, some people like it in different ways. They like what you are producing, or what you are serving them with. Other people like other things. But as you put them together, you're able to serve all of them. You can have different bundles based on customer segments. When we offer our product or service separately, we can tell the different willingness to pay of the consumer, the customer. However, bundle price put customers on the same level as the customer with higher willingness to pay for product A, but lower for product B, can be in the same segment as customer with higher willingness for product B and lower product for product A. That's what I explained with the data and the core bundle. So maybe somebody like to do chatting. They like to go on social media and do Twitter and do all the social media stuff. They don't do a lot of calls, right? But once in a while they do calls, so they may want to have some call bundle as well. And somebody also like to do calls than to do that. They put all of these people, they put the same bundle, and we all go and buy it. So they put these 2 people in the same category. Please, any question?
Okay, I've been playing with this in my mind concerning the repeated innovation.
Yes.
Now, when we look at a company like Apple, they do not necessarily change. They haven't brought any new product. It's like they're always doing an upgrade on their products.
Mm-hmm.
That's the repeated innovation, right? So like you have just, when you have so many products you see that if you don't take care, those who were going with one product may decide to go for the other one that you have. And so it's the willingness to pay factor for that one will go down because some people moved for the newer product that might be more expensive. And I'm like, so for instance, I have one product, I have a certain product, I did it, and then I did an upgrade on it. And if I should make another upgrade on it, and then on the other one, make an upgrade continuously, that will be repeated innovation, right?
Yes, it could be. Yes, an upgrade could be a repeated innovation.
Thank you.
But once you upgrade, it means that you move from the old. You are having versions.
Okay, that's the other point. That's why I was saying that. Okay, so does it mean that you stop making those ones whilst other people graduate to the other one, or there will still be a decrease in because there are also, just like there are also people who are going to graduate from the first one to the second one.
Yes.
With time.
Yes. So there are two ways you can do this. First of all,
okay,
unless you can say that there are people who will still want to stick to the old one, and so you want to do that. But as you are the supplier, you basically have to dictate the market. So, for instance, you know that when you buy an Apple phone, right? There's like an upgrade charge. That will allow you to go and change the old phone to a new phone.
To swap, yeah.
Now, when you do that, what happens is that they will buy the old one at a discount.
Yeah.
So they are even creating another stream. And they will go and recycle this old thing to create a new one for you again. So if you are upgrading, then I mean it is always wise to say that you are moving the market. So it will not be wise for you to be repeating production of an old one when you yourself are moving the market.
Okay.
And this is not only Apple. You know that some cars, the old cars, if you want to get your pass, you can get a pass again. Because they've stopped those ones. They have upgraded it.
But still people are buying it.
Yeah, but if you buy it and then if you go and buy Golf 2 right now, you have to create your own spare part for it.
That's true.
You have to create your own spare part because nobody's creating. They're not doing Golf 2 again.
All right, so brainstorming. I hope there's a way to engage you after this.
Yes, I can.
If there's a way to engage you after.
Yes.
After the sessions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So anyway, I want clarity on something, and based on that, I'll know whether I'll ask a question or not.
Okay.
So in terms of the bundling, you made mention that you could go ahead and buy some of the an existing product that maybe the customers crave for, and then you can reduce price and then use it to your product, right?
Yes. So I mentioned that you are bundling is basically putting different products together. So sometimes you can put a complementary products within your production, within a bundle, so that you can get the customer to buy yours or to pay for something that if you give to them alone, you will not probably get that price. Is it clearer? Or you need more? You need me to give more example. So let me give you an example. Let's say you go to homes to, let's say, or you go to places to do this to do translations, right? And then there are, I'm trying to figure out what else maybe you can add to something like that people maybe are craving. Right. There's a service that people will be craving in addition to that. Because I don't know the industry, it may be difficult for me. But let's assume that I sell cream or I sell black soap. But I notice that people are not buying this black soap. But I know that on the market, one product that people like to buy a lot is maybe a certain cream and deodorant. I could go buy the cream and deodorant at half price because I'll buy them in bulk. And then come, package them with mine, sell those products at 80%. I bought it at 50%. I'll sell it at 80% together with mine. So I sell those two at say 80%, 80%. I've reduced it at 20% to anybody who buy from me. But I'll add mine and then add another additional price to it. Now, if somebody who buys it is buying 3 things in one, they're buying a soap, they're buying cream, they're buying a deodorant. Somebody will want to buy all of this at once than just going to buy just the one deodorant at one shop and move to another place and go and buy the soap and move to another place and go and buy the cream. Does that?
I get. Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, we're going to take just final parts and then we would. Oh, I think that I didn't. That I added a differentiation. Okay. Please, do we have questions? Today, I'm not going to give assignment because yesterday the assignment people didn't do it.
Yes.
Any questions from the house? I've been talking to 2 or 3 people. The rest, are you with us? Hayford, Abigail, and today the people didn't come.
Yes.
Okay. How to make sure that
Yes,
we are.
I've learned here today.
Say again.
I said I wouldn't have missed this for anything. I've learned so much. Even though the session is not over, I tell you, it has revolutionized my, I mean, I know my business is going to look after this. Learn so much. Yeah. So much that was taken for granted that I had not even thought of.
Yeah.
This is
Thank you,
wonderful. This is great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Upper Space.
Thank you,
We don't know it all. Yeah. And thank you so much, Henry. You are so good. Your delivery is really, really excellent. Giving us real value.
But I was hoping Henry could actually rescind on his a decision not to give us an assignment today. Please, you give it to us. We will do it. No, for
Sorry,
today.
I did mine. Oh, I did mine. Where is it? I did one for my. I only did it for my lip care because we have so many products. So I did mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I did mine here.
You wouldn't believe it, but I woke up before I slept yesterday. I went over the course because it was recorded and then sent yesterday. I went through it and couldn't finish up. Woke up this dawn and then I was listening to it whilst I was preparing to leave for work. Yeah, and it was
I
an
can
interesting
imagine.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah, altogether. So,
Let me
please
give it.
let's
Let us
get the
try our hands
assignment.
on it. Give it.
Okay.
Give the assignment out.
All right. So then the assignment is that assess your pricing strategy, and the ones that we have given. Identify any two, or okay, one is okay. Any one that you think you can implement and how you can implement it.
Assess your pricing.
The question, let me try and put it in the chat because when I saw, I just saw that. So assess your pricing strategy. And with your knowledge on pricing, okay, hold on. This thing, I'm even going too far. When we started, I asked a question. You might ask a question. I ask you to think about a question. Let me go to that slide and give that as the assignment.
Okay.
Okay. So this was the question. How do you set prices? And how do you know the price? But let me add one more. So with your knowledge, let me stop sharing and then add the third one. So at this point, if you have any question, I guess you can ask as we try and get this session. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. I actually wanted us to look at the bundling model. I realized that you mentioned severally that you could buy a product other than yours, which is different from yours, and then attach it to it and sell it all together. Is it allowed?
Yeah.
In saying this, when do you let go of that other product and then concentrate on yours? Because it's like you're going to channel other resources into someone else's business.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So one of the best way is actually to collaborate. You know that as you are doing black seed,
Okay.
who are also doing creams.
Yes.
Yes. So you can collaborate. You say, look, let's go to bundle because basically, you know that when somebody baths, they use cream, isn't it?
Yes.
When they want soap, they need to come and look at. They need to come and look for you. And when they need cream, they need to go and look for that person.
The other person.
All at the same place.
So
is that the same? So basically, what we are talking about now is to create a network effect.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, let me come here, Lorisha. You see that sometimes when it is Mother's Day, Father's Day, you see that sometimes we make bundles, we can add towels and other stuff, cologne and all those things that we don't make.
Yes.
Those are the bundles. Yeah, those are the bundles he's talking about. So if you can start off by targeting these important dates, like Father's Day, Valentine. You see what happens when it is close to Valentine's Day. We will add things like chocolate. You may remember what I did for last year. I made this
Yes.
food and then I added chocolate. You can add a teddy bear. You don't make them, but you know that it's with it. So it's not like pushing somebody's business, because that thing you are not giving for free. Once you think of it that way, then it becomes difficult for you to do it. So that even you and I cannot collaborate.
All
If you
right.
think of it as
I'll
pushing
do it
my
that
business,
way.
is
Hmm.
helping people who love the other things, who may not know about yours, to also sample yours and develop a liking for yours, and then coming after yours. If you see it that way, as a way
Okay.
of sampling, let's put it that
Hmm.
way. Yeah,
Okay.
because you want as many people as possible to get hold of your product.
Your
You
product
know how good your product is, but not everybody does. Those who do not
knows it.
patronize you don't know. You need to get it
Hmm.
out there. So it's not about you pushing somebody, it's about you getting your product there, getting more people to buy your product who otherwise wouldn't buy. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
You're welcome. Okay, so I just added another. Let's see that. I guess that will be the main.
You have to read it out too.
I'm
My
doing it.
this thing is saying an unknown error. Okay, so I cannot read it. I'm hearing you. Okay, now I can see.
Yes, you will see it once I project it. All right. So the first question was, how do you set prices? So let's start from where you are for your product. Identify. Let's see if any of the ones you are doing is in any of the ones that you set, or that, just as I heard many of you, all you do is that you consider your operating cost and then your profit margin, which means you don't consider willingness to pay.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we charge higher. Some of my products, there's one I'll give it. I sell it for 150, but you know, there are people I'll sell it to for 120. No, just because I think that they are not.
All right.
But I've always been beating myself because I thought it was not fair. But now that I know what I know, what I've learned today, things are going to be, my conscience is going to rest.
With your knowledge on pricing, which pricing strategy do you think will help you best price discriminate to attract higher willingness to pay? So that's the main question. Tomorrow, once think about it, you've had, think about 6 or so. One bundle is 1, 2, 6. 6 different pricing strategies. We have discussed 6 different. And before we did that, we discussed willingness to pay, what it means, and how to actually understand what it means, and the willingness to sell, because these 2 components are the external forces, right? And then how you can create your own. I think that I can even add that as, how do you think you can create a monopoly for your business? We spoke about that one too, how you can create a market for your own business. So think about that as well. It is my ultimate desire that I will see your products on bigger markets. So you see that on the background, you see something that looks like the stock market, that I'll see some of you that's on the stock market. I think it was a few months ago, I was told that there was this bread seller in Ghana that, you know,
A1 bread, yeah.
A1 bread is now in the United States.
I know.
And I guess it's because this guy's got to connect with other people. This is bread, Brudo. I'm sure that somebody would think that bread there. How do I sell my bread?
People used to buy it in bulk from when they come to Ghana. They bought it in bulk because it was good. And I think the idea came down, why not set up there?
Yeah.
Even my sister was asking me to buy A1 bread for her when people came down to Ghana. And I was like, what's in A1? Why not Foster bread?
Yeah, be Foster.
Yeah, but now see.
So you see, people come. I have guys in Ghana. their shop is always in Ghana, but they tell that we sell to people who are overseas. My question is, the market is not, you don't even have your shop in overseas. So how do you think that people will get close to you? You know, and now on various apps, I see on various apps, they are selling African clothes. And these apps are Asian apps, you know, that they are selling African, because of the economy of scale, the fact that they can sell more, even if you're making a margin of one CD and you're selling 1 million a day, you can imagine how much you're making. Okay, so we want to end today's year. Any question? If there are no question, we will.
The two objectives have been met.
Some. We will introduce tomorrow's. Tomorrow is going to be a little more calculation.
Great.
Then we will.
We should get prepared for it. Because it looked like everybody was right yesterday, but you know how it went. Accounting is some way.
Yes. So tomorrow we'll look at budgeting, why you budget, and some essential things we must know about budgets. And then we'll look at financial reports, balance sheet, the income statement, the cash flow.
The proper accounting.
Yeah, the periodic report. And then if we have time, we'll discuss return on investment, ROI. We'll look at the actual versus the plan. We'll look at negative and positive, and then we'll look at the calculation of it. I'm sure some of you know a man called Strive Masiyiwa. So
we don't know him. We've heard about him.
All right. So
I don't know him.
Strive is at the point he was considered, one of those richest guys on the continent, but he lives in the UK. He owns a telecom company, but Strive is a through and through entrepreneur. Strive and Warren Buffett gave one common understanding of business. Says that if there's anything that you must learn about business, it should be how to prepare and read financial reports. Because, like I told you when we were starting yesterday, when you look at your BMC, it has 9 different areas, right?
Yeah.
When you're building your house, where do you concentrate more?
The foundation.
Yes. And your BMC, what is the foundation of BMC?
Yeah. I guess it's the product.
It has 2 different components, the costs and the revenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your ability to reduce the costs and increase the revenue stream will survive your business. Otherwise, know your customer, and then getting the key persons and the key activity will not do anything. So let's get prepared tomorrow and go a little bit. We'll see if we can stop using slide and do a little bit of preparation in Excel. I'll try and see that, how that will go.
The slides are good too. So give us a slide and then.
Yes. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, please.
With the repeated innovation, I wish I could get access to you after this thing. But with the repeated innovation, what's the frequency? We know that as for Apple, you can always anticipate. So what will you say would be the right interval for products?
So usually you want what you introduce to settle with the people, right? Because when you also get it too fast, people get fatigued. They feel like you are just exploiting them. So you need to let it set. So yes, we anticipate Apple, but Apple will announce a thing and it will come 2 years later.
Yeah.
Or a year later. It doesn't give you anticipation, but the thing is not in yet. So you are still enjoying what you have.
Mhm.
But
But we definitely know they will.
yeah, but the reason why they do that is that they are preparing your mind to basically trade off. So it is to the advantage. You are making you know that we are bringing a new one. It has this feature. It's an addition of this and this. So they are making you now get more desire for what is coming. So now you are thinking of, okay, how do I dispose this off? So you know that they are basically unconsciously they are creating a devaluation for what you have. So if you want to sell it, you sell it at a lower price, right? And then they are increasing your desire for the new. So they are basically increasing your willingness to pay for the new one. So even though you want to sell this at a cheaper price, you want to buy the one that is coming at a higher price. So sometimes they even allow you to even place order, like Tesla. Those who buy Tesla here, you don't go to the market and go and buy it. You have to order it, and then they will design and then bring it to you, right? Sometimes it can take like 6 months because they need to you order it, you prepay some of the things, and Tesla is basically using the model that we spoke about. The second model where we say that you basically would have to pay a certain subscription, and then you pay additional cost. So before they bring you the car, you have paid some money to them. And you see, they created an innovation, they created a model that was difficult. Now it's electric car. They had to build electric stations by themselves, another additional income stream. If you want to build some, you can do it, but then you need to basically depend on them. Because you need to know how you can fix that charger into their car. So as for innovation, you must always be on the edge. You must be with why, understand the move of your customer, anticipate where they are going, what they are thinking. You should always be doing that because you should be the one to direct the desires of the customer. All right.
Okay.
We are done.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Are you part of the group?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, are you part of the WhatsApp group?
I think I'll add him when we are done. I can add him.
You want to
I'll
add
add
it to
him.
WhatsApp group?
Yes, our group.
So we can
I'll add
bombard
him.
you with questions.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, can you add me right away? Because
Sure,
some of us would like to contact you.
Sure, I'll do so.
I'll
do so. I was even supposed to add from day one.
Okay, no problem.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm usually outfit. I mean, I'm not difficult to reach. Yes, Pastor, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to say thank you very much for today's session. And my concern was that the number that we had yesterday and compared to today is not inspiring because a lot of people didn't join. But the same people who joined and were contributing yesterday are doing so. And there are a number of people here who seems not to be talking and doing the assignment. And I have issues with them. I'm praying tomorrow being the third session, they will come and then join. And also with the assignment, please make sure you do it. And for your own good, not for the facilitators' own good, but for your own good. And those who have been doing it, thank you for doing it. And I know your businesses are growing because you are putting in the work. And thank you very much, Mr. Henry, as well, because it's time. And I know it's about 5 a.m. at where you are right now. Sleeping is not easy nowadays. So thank you very much on that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And I want to say the last for everyone who joined today's session. Thank you very much for joining. And this year, we are not we are not forcing anybody, but if you are willing to learn, that's up to you. So if you are here, thank you very much. And also with the interaction, please, as the energy keeps on coming, please keep on contributing, because there are points where nobody talks, and it's sometimes not encouraged. But as it was being interactive as time goes on, that was perfect. So thank you all for joining, and I'll share the recording too, as I did yesterday. And my last thing is on the assignment. Please work on it, and also if there's any document on your finances that you have to do, make sure you get that done as well. All right, that's my own major concern. I would like to say thank you very much, Mr. Henry. Thank you.
All
But I
right.
think one last thing, for the culture, we mostly put on our camera and then take a virtual selfie. So those here, if you can put on the camera and you can take a selfie for at least the thumbnail of the whole session. So you can put it on where we can take a snapshot.
All right. So then I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Sure.
Stephanie,
Right.
come and take the selfie.
All right. Okay, I think let's wait for Stephanie. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. So you'll meet tomorrow. Okay, thank you.